I get questions from subscribers often, and I actually solicit questions to help me get better ideas for my videos. And I get a question from subscriber Maverick3644 right here. And Maverick3644 said, "Can I ask what precautions you took here in Russia? I'm going to climb Elbrus in June 2025. Now, when I climbed Elbrus, that was quite a few years ago, and Russia wasn't in the war with Ukraine, so hopefully YouTube doesn't ban me for talking about that. But a couple precautions I took when I was climbing in Russia. One, I went with a Russian company called Pilgrim Tours rather than going with an American companies that were like 8 times more expensive, and then they contracted with Pilgrim Tours to do the climb, and Pilgrim Tours was 8 times cheaper, and you had the same guides anyway. I just wasn't paying for some dude or some woman to come climb with me for guiding. Ugh. So, first precaution, go with the local natives, go with their guide service. Now, as I was traveling through Moscow, going to Sheremetyevo Airport, I'm probably mangling the name. The hotel I stayed at was nice. Don't stay at a cheap hotel. Stay at a nice hotel where they can provide a driver. When I went into the core of Moscow to check out Red Square, the hotel staff was adamant about do not just pick up a taxi off the street. They use a service called Gett, I think it's Gett, which is similar to Uber. You can actually use the Uber app on your phone to call a Gett there. I had one guy try and scam me on the street, and whatever the price it said to get to the airport, he tried to do a higher price. If you feel weird, don't go. I called another, and if that guy was going to scam me, I would call the hotel, hey, I'm standing wherever I'm standing. The next precaution is make sure whatever data plan service you have, I use AT&T, but whoever you have in the US, make sure your data plan works over there because you're going to be navigating around. Now, wherever you're going in Russia, what I would highly suggest is downloading Google's offline maps. Let me pull that up. Let me tell you, Google offline maps right here. So in Google Maps, when you pull up your profile, see offline maps, you can actually download maps offline, and I've done this in Ireland, Italy, France, India, everywhere. You download the offline maps, that way you do not have to have cell service, and then you can navigate your way around. There are probably plenty of foolish temptations in Russia. Let's just say if you think you would get arrested in the US for doing something and you do it in Russia, Russian prisons, I hear, are really bad, so don't do the things you shouldn't do in Russia. Now, once I caught my flight down to the area near where Mount Elbrus is, I had the guides pick me up. Make sure you know exactly where they are, because in that airport where you land in, it's pretty small, but my guide guy, just miscommunication, I almost missed him. He was looking for me. I didn't know exactly in the airport where it was. I can't help enough just get a sign printed up so you can walk around like this. Pilgrim Tours, I would have done it because I was stressing. I looked for my dude for an hour. He was looking for me. He was in a different spot. My American thinking was not the same as Russian thinking. It all worked out in the end, but I had no one to call. So, or at least I tried to call them, and of course, they didn't answer. I was having trouble with my phone. The communication is everything. Once you get into the small town where you're going to actually go climbing Mount Elbrus, I find it was totally safe. It's super touristy, very nice. Stay in the town. They also arranged for me to do some paragliding off a Russian cliff. I mean, that was the coolest thing. So I would highly recommend if you go with the Russian service like Pilgrim Tours. Hopefully they're in business now. I don't know what's going on in Russia. All I see is negativity on the news. But I had a spectacular time. But Moscow is a big city. Standard precautions like you're going to New York. New York taxis I never worry about, but I was warned multiple times just not to take a taxi off the street in Moscow. If you have the time, go to St. Petersburg, arrange it with a hotel. You got to get a visa and a permit. Do not wait till the last second to do this. Also, my visa from Russia had an incorrect code in the barcode in the bottom. Holy schmoly. Thank goodness I had a 12-hour stressful flight to Russia, thinking, oh my gosh, So when you get your visa and you look at the visa number, and the bottom of the visa number is encoded your visa number, like they put it in the bottom, like computer readable. If they don't match, you might have a problem. Also, when you arrive at the airport in Moscow, probably going to fly into Sheremetyevo, do not go outside to get a taxi. Don't do it. If the guide company can arrange it, if you're going with an American company, just stay with them. They'll take care of everything, or a European company. But for me, when I was doing it kind of DIY, there is a taxi stand next to the main escalator inside that huge airport. If there's nobody there, wait. Don't go outside, because I got scammed. I could literally see my hotel like a quarter mile away, but I didn't want to walk on the street and get arrested for jaywalking in Russia. And I couldn't find the taxi stand inside, so I got some guy. Of course, I paid $60 to drive a quarter mile. It was absurd. I always get the whacking price when I go to a country like that. So when you arrive in the airport, there is a taxi stand inside the airport, not on the street, inside the airport. Arrange the taxi with them. Go with them. If somebody else tries to, oh, I'll get a taxi for you, come over here. They do a little brokering thing. You're getting stiffed and you're going to get the shaft. You're going to pay like $60 US to go 1 mile. Now, I chose to stay at the airport because the next day I had my flight to southern Russia to go on my climb. I did not stay in the city because in the morning, if you get a taxi and you got to get to the airport early, stress fest. My personal recommendation, stay at the nice, super nice airport hotel. I mean, it was gorgeous, super good food, way better than the Marriott that I stayed in the US and LA. That sucked. No offense, Marriott. Way better, way cheaper, way nicer food, better looking people, the whole thing, and ultra courteous, very conservative. When you go order food, if you're going by yourself to a restaurant and you order food, they probably won't bring you bread, but the table next to you has 2 people, they'll bring you bread. There's just a bunch of cultural things. I would get the Lonely Planet guidebook and read the cultural Russian things. There's a bunch of stuff I read and I still didn't know. I just didn't get it. Be cool. Yeah, check out Red Square, do all that. Only stay in the bright touristed areas. You walk alone in the dark at night, especially since I just had that terrorist attack in the theater. Just be aware. Things are a lot more sketchy there. Be careful. Stay with your guide group. Hopefully that helps you. Gives you a couple of gotchas when you get to Russia. Traveling around. It's beautiful. I actually loved it. I would love to go back once things calm down there. But there's a few gotchas you got to be careful about. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe.